to me.
91.5 WBIM presents Bridgewater's Saturday Night Soundtrack with Robb Hicks. Whoever you're with, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, don't stop. Just turn us up. Coming to you live from the Adrian Rondelou Campus Center. We are your destination for commercial-free classic rock to power your nights. Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, Pearl Jam, Eric Clapton, AC/DC, Zeppelin, Foo Fighters, Aerosmith, The Clash, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, Rolling Stones, Soundgarden, Van Halen, and hundreds more. 5 decades, thousands of songs, and one show to rule them all. We are all request at 508-531-1303. So go get some food in the belly, gas in the tank, and prepare to make your Saturday night something classic. The Saturday Night Soundtrack with Robb Hicks begins now.
I'm gonna blow your face out!
On Bridgewater's own 91.5 WBIM.
On 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater. So Saturday Night Soundtrack, we're back. We survived. We managed to get in here tonight. So welcome to the program. Robb Hicks, Steve Rimmer.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to be doing all request. In case anybody doesn't know what the show's all about, we're doing all request classic rock, and we do it from 7 to 11, and we're going to be doing that all basically
7-11
all this year, and God willing, but definitely at least for this semester, and hopefully for all this year. So, like I said, it's classic rock and commercial free, and all requests. So give us a call 508-531-1303. We're all over social media. In fact, we just spread ourselves all over the place there, so you can check it out. Facebook, you can like us on Facebook, Saturday Night Soundtrack. You can follow us on Twitter at SN Soundtrack. And then you can also, in case all that junk's not enough, you can find us on YouTube. If you just take YouTube. If you just take a look for search for Saturday Night Soundtrack and then filter for channels, we're the first thing that's going to come up. And what we do is we dump basically all of the highlights from our old shows up there. So, anytime we're not on the air, which is obviously not tonight in the middle of a snowstorm, us buffoons are still here. But if ever we're not here and, you just need a little bit of encouragement and comfort from us, well, you can go listen to that stuff and be a loser that way. So how's that? So how have you been over the break, Steve?
I've been good.
Oh, that's good.
Yourself?
I've been good as well.
Yeah.
It was
and you know what? We started this year like we did the last.
We did, absolutely. Last year, this is we're one night shy of Steve's 1 year anniversary here, starting on the program.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, you started on you started on the first show of last semester, last year, I should say.
Yeah.
Which was January 24th, and the reason that we're 1 day shy is obviously because of the way the calendar year works.
Exactly.
So congratulations.
Yes. Hi, thank you.
There is going to be no cake. We can't even get any friggin' dinner because
nobody's delivering.
Nobody wants to deliver it to us because, well, apparently there's a blizzard going on outside.
Yeah, what the hell?
You and Steve, you and I are married, not to each other.
Thank you.
As we hasten to point out,
as usual.
That's the first time that we say that for this year, and it's not going to be the last.
No.
How did your wife feel, or what was her input about your coming here to risk your life to come do the program?
She just texted me and said
that nobody's going to be listening to, by the way.
No, she just texted me and said, take it slow.
Yes, absolutely. Take it easy.
I don't know whether that means something that happens tonight when I get home, or...
I mean, I can pretty much guarantee you that in my situation, that's not going to be the case. I don't think my wife was very happy with me deciding to come out here and do this.
No, mine neither.
As a matter of fact, the last thing that she said before, it was one of those situations, too, where you could tell that she knew I was going to come here and do the show. And earlier in the day, it was sort of like, oh, so you're getting ready to do the show? And yeah, and then, okay. And then I think she thought I was going to, like come to some senses at some point.
Bail on it. Yep.
During the course of the day. And when she started realizing that wasn't happening, the tone in her voice started changing. And, the way she was sort of looking at me and reacting to my, responses was getting a little bit more and more concerning. But at the same time, I had already committed to come in here and do the program. And finally, right before I was about to walk out the door, one of the last things she said to me was, if you guys died doing this, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that you died because you're idiots, and that's going to be in the obituaries, and it's going to be on your tombstones. I said, okay, honey, that's great. Thank you, and I'll be home probably sometime, around midnight because I'm going to take it slow driving home.
The thing about getting home, it makes no difference. You can take as long as you want.
I mean, I feel a little bit more encouraged by the fact that I was able to get here.
Exactly.
Also, the fact that unlike last semester, we were coming in at 5, and maybe it was a little bit lighter when we would leave. I mean, it was dark coming here.
Yep.
It's going to be dark going home. There's not going to be any kind of difference.
Yep.
But she just said...
I get more worried by not the conditions of the road, etc. It's more by the conditions of the other drivers on the road.
Yeah, because everybody out there is stupid.
Yeah.
Everyone's a moron.
Dumb as... Yeah, I'm not going to say it, but...
Nobody should be driving except for us because we're coming here dedicated to doing the show.
We have a mission.
And in case any of you don't know, we've been doing the show for a little bit now. So we usually have a third party with us. Jared Barbetta.
Oh, crap, I forgot about that.
Jared Barbetta is a co-host of ours. He's not able to make it this evening, not because of the snow, but because apparently for the first show of 2016, Jared had something better to do, like have secret meetings with old guys in capes or whatever it is he does.
With aprons.
Don't even know what he does.
He has an apron.
Nobody understands this. Jared's a Freemason, and if nobody understands that, well, don't feel bad because I've been friends with a guy for years. He's been a Freemason for a few years, and he has never really sufficiently explained it to me either.
No, me neither.
He has basically gone out of his way to tell me that it's no secret society and it's not some sort of grand mysterious conspiracy like everybody thinks. And then when I kind of prod him on that and try to get more information, he shuts down.
Exactly. I'm doing the same.
I'm not able to get, so basically he's just proving what I think is going on. It's very sketchy.
It is.
But he'll be back next week, and we'll have a full crew then. In the meantime, we're going to let's play some classic rock. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And get into our first classic rock block of the evening. Going to kick it off with a song that was very often rumored or assumed to be about drugs, but the artist came back and stated at one point, well, no, it wasn't about drugs. It was about my exuberance at my successful solo career that I managed to obtain after being kicked out of my old band for, drugs.
Those major market stations have high-profile sponsors, hosts with 30 years of experience and over 20,000 watts of power. Well, we have a British guy. Check and mates. Steve Rimmer is on the Saturday night soundtrack on VIM.
It's Allison Shanes at 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater SNS radio show. That was off their Dirt album from 92, Rooster, going out to Steve, who called us up and was like, hey, you ridiculous guys are in there.
That was a quick
you risked life and limb, wasn't it, though?
Well done, sir.
That's what we do here on Saturday Night Soundtrack. You request a song. If you do it within, I've got 2 minutes left on the song I'm playing, I'm going to get your song on in 2 minutes.
There you go. That's a challenge to everybody out there.
Yeah, there you go. Challenge. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
And see what Rob can do for you.
Challenge, except just playing music. Nothing. I'm not doing anything else. Nothing else.
Oh, no?
Nothing else is happening.
No oil involved?
I've missed you, sir. In a platonic way,
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Jay Giles Band was in that block of just before that. Leonard Skinner, Ozzy Osbourne, and it's Rob Hicks and Steve Rimmer. And Jared Barbetta will be back with us next week, and I'm sure it's just killing him to be missing this show.
You know what? I bet he isn't even at his lodge.
We were talking about this on the way in as to whether or not, and again, as we mentioned in the first segment, I have absolutely no idea what Jared always refers to it once a month as his quote lodge night.
Yes,
I don't know what the hell that means. Do you know what that means? I don't know. What that means.
I'm going to text him and find out.
Is he doing? Is it like an open house kind of deal? Is it a? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? I don't understand what happens.
I think it's more like a meeting, but because he's the financial guy for the lodge, he has to be there.
Did you ever see the movie Eyes Wide Shut?
No.
Okay. When he goes to it's going to fall on deaf ears if you don't know what I'm talking about. But when he goes to the group orgy, that's kind of what I picture.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure, but it's just possible, and I don't know.
It's got to be something like that for him to want to miss this.
If it's that's also part of what I'm thinking, and if it's something like that, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So 508-531-1303 is the number to call if you want me to try to get a song on for you within 2 minutes. I mean, if you want to try to give me a little bit more lead time, I don't mind lead time, but I don't need it necessarily.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will. Again, you can like us on Facebook, Saturday Night Soundtrack. You can follow us on Twitter at SN Soundtrack, and you can check us out on YouTube. Search for Saturday Night Soundtrack, filter for channels. We're there with a whole bunch of highlights from older shows. Livestream.com is also a website and a free app at the iTunes and Google Play stores. You can check that out and search for WBIM. Listen to us wherever you can't get us on the terrestrial radio, and it's going to come in crystal clear, no buffering, no problems, nothing.
Yep.
I was wondering what it was going to be like. I checked out Livestream earlier today. I was wondering what it was going to be like when... Are you serious?
Are we wearing the same T-shirt?
We are wearing we're wearing the same T-shirt. That is
I just noticed.
That is fantastic. I didn't even realize that myself.
Nope.
I didn't think about it. I should have thought about it. I didn't think about it. Oh, that's cute.
Yes.
That's too cute for words. We're going to have to take our sweatshirts off at some point.
Exactly.
That doesn't sound... People out there listening are like, what the hell kind of freak show is this I'm listening to on the radio? Jesus, I just want to hear some classic rock. What is happening? In case any of you don't know the makeup of this whole program, I'm an alum here from Bridgewater, so I'm old. Steve's older than I am.
I'm older.
He has no affiliation with this college whatsoever.
No whatsoever.
When Jared comes back next week, he has no affiliation with the college either. So there you go. That's us.
You know what I hate to say, though?
Yeah.
They released the top 10 towns in Massachusetts for opiate overdoses, and West Bridgewater was within the top 3.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of towns around us that are just a mess.
That's kind of sad.
Plymouth is a mess also. Plymouth is apparently just a heroin den or something. I don't know what the hell's going on down there, but it's just a disaster. There's a street that, my wife and I were coming back from Plymouth from going to dinner someplace. I mean, this was months ago. But we were driving by. We looked off to the left-hand side. There's cop cars everywhere. There's a guy on the ground, spread eagle with his hands on it, being arrested in the middle of the street. That was a drug deal going on, definitely.
Stupid kids.
Just idiotic. Just dumb stuff.
Dumb. How we got into this, I don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of dumb stuff, you and I were
Sarah
talking.
Palin?
What's that?
Sarah Palin.
Just Sarah Palin. We'll get to her later on as well. You and I were talking a little bit off the air. Of course, obviously, we'll discuss this in some greater detail throughout the course of the program, but obviously we lost two major classic rock legends. One, as far as I'm concerned, bigger deal than the other, but that's probably unfortunate to say because I'm not trying to downgrade anybody's contribution to the music in general, but obviously David Bowie passed away after a battle with cancer that nobody knew he was going through.
Yep.
Apparently for 18 months or so, and he passed away at the age of 69. And of course, we just lost Glenn Frey, the Eagles, co-founder of the Eagles. He just passed away. I don't recall his age, which I'm ashamed to say.
He was in his 60s.
He was having apparently an escalating series of health issues as well.
Yeah.
From what I read, he had arthritis and he was taking meds for the arthritis, and then he ended up in all sorts of weird stuff. He got pneumonia, and then he was in a coma from the medication he was going through, and then they tried to take him out of the coma, and then he couldn't breathe, and they had to put him back in. All sorts of stuff like that, and it was ridiculous.
Drummer of Mott the Hoople?
Drummer of Mott the Hoople passed away, and just stop it. You know what I mean? Just end it. But one of the things that we were talking about a little bit, Steve, when I was listening to, obviously when David Bowie passed away, the radio stations were playing some of his stuff here and there, and that was great, and obviously, and expected. What I didn't expect was this past week when Glenn Frey passed away, the amount of Eagles and solo Glenn Frey and everything else that I was hearing on the radio was astounding. To the point where ZLX, which is basically the leader of classic rock radio in Boston, major market station in the genre and everything else, they did an entire day of just playing Eagles studio albums, and they did nothing like that when David Bowie passed away. And to me, it's and again, not to downgrade anyone's contribution, but I think about the Eagles, and I think about the fact that they're one of those bands that they're a cornerstone of classic rock, but at the same time, there are very many niche groups of, I don't know if I want to say fans, consumers of classic rock or whatever, that consider the Eagles to be one of the worst bands that ever existed.
No.
And I'm not saying that, I mean, no. I don't feel that way. I mean, I like the Eagles, but I like the Eagles in small doses. I mean, we play them, we'll sprinkle them throughout this program. We'll play them here and there, but I mean, we don't play a heck of a lot of them. And I hear one or two Eagles songs, and I'm pretty much all set for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing to me that there was so much of an outpouring sympathy for Glenn Frey, who, co-founded a band that, just a whole lot of people don't really like. And David Bowie never really seemed to have that kind of polarizing fan base. I mean, his fans just seem so, just so loyal to him, and all of classic rock fandom in general just basically seems to understand what he contributed.
I was very surprised when I read that Black Star was his first number one hit in this country.
I know, right? I was thinking
right
that
now
as well.
He has 18 albums in the top 50 of the UK album charts.
It's insane.
18
is crazy.
Yep,
it's just nuts.
And the singles chart. There's a website called Lyrics. I think it's lyrics.com, where you can license lyrics to do cover versions.
Yep.
Their top 25 right now is 25 Bowie songs.
And it's almost like, do you think he's somewhere looking down on everything? He's like, Christ, guys, couldn't you have done this a little bit earlier?
Exactly.
Better take this.
Oh, yeah.
Because, come on.
But you know what? He lived a great life.
He absolutely did.
He was married to a supermodel.
Yep.
He had two great kids. I mean, whatever. He did the best he could.
And he inserted himself into my childhood by being in Labyrinth.
Which was on last night. They played at 8 o'clock last night.
As a result of that, even if I didn't fully appreciate his full contributions to, pop and music and just culture in general, I knew that he was in a movie that I liked when I was like 7 years old. So,
and he was called the Goblin King.
He was. He was.
Yes.
So rest in peace, Goblin King. Obviously, we're going to be playing some David Bowie later on in the program as well. We'll get...
Good.
I'm not going to be a jerk. I'll play some Glenn Frey. I just don't you know what I mean? It's like I was saying, Glenn Frey, the Eagles are like Bob Seger. Mm-hmm. They're one of those bands where you got a whole bunch of people who really like them, and then you got other people who are like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Please stop playing that. Please stop it. So, yes, stop it. Steve this will not be the last time that Steve complains about Tom Petty.
No, it will not.
Stay tuned. Another big classic rock block coming up. Again, call us up 508-531-1303. Got Jimi Hendrix on deck. Going to hear from The Who, Stephen Stills, all within the next block. Next, SNS on BIM.
The Saturday night soundtrack with Robb Hicks is on 91.5 WBIM. Bridgewater's weekend all-request classic rock experience.
It's the Steve Miller Band and 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater. Saturday night soundtrack. Robb Hicks, Steve Rimmer.
Hello.
Hello. Every time somebody comes in here who runs the building around here, I get a little bit nervous because, especially on a night like this, I'm like, are they going to kick us out?
Yeah.
Are they telling us this is it? They're closing the doors?
No.
And it's all over.
We're here.
We're here, and we're going to be here until 11 o'clock. We're doing classic rock until then. So give us a call, 508-531-1303. Let us know what's going to help you, get through the storm, aside from alcohol, that is. And, we'll try to get the music on for you.
That's what's missing. We need to bring alcohol.
That is what's missing, actually.
Yes.
I mean, I've got this big jug of iced tea, but would have been.
I got water.
It would have been very easy to drop some spiced rum in there before I left, but I did not do that.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed my senses about me at least to drive through the snowy streets.
No, but you guys need to listen to us on live stream.
Yes, absolutely. Livestream.com. It's a website, and it's also an app. It's a free app. The iTunes and Google Play stores. You can check that out, and all you have to do, it's really easy. You just search for WBIM. You don't have to search for a particular program. You don't have to search for a show name, none of that. Just search for WBIM.
Exactly.
It'll come right up, and it'll have it's the first thing that comes up, and it's got a little icon on the right-hand side that just says live.
Yes.
You just click on that, and it loads for about a second or two, and then it just plays through clearly. There's no buffering. There's no internet stuttering. There's none of that junk. So you're going to be all set. Steve, you mentioned to me off the air that apparently Walking Dead is going to be coming back on February 14th, which I'd completely forgotten about.
I read something on Facebook the other day. It was reportedly coming from the show about Rebus leaving at the end of the next season, which meant, obviously, that Daryl was going to die.
Sure.
And then right at the very end of it, it says, only joking.
Good. I saw some.
Really?
I saw something on the. I saw something online yesterday, the day before, that there was a picture or an article or something about Lauren Cohen, who plays Maggie, of course, and she had shorter hair, like really short. And she's going to be in something, and the immediate reaction at that point is,
she has to be out. Yeah.
Does that mean that she's going to be out of this show? And maybe sometimes I can do two things at once, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you've completely restyled your look and now you're going to be in some other program, does that mean that that spells the end of Maggie as we know it?
I know. But here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Boondock Saints 3. It's coming.
That's not necessary.
No, it's coming.
That's not necessary.
Oh, I'd like it. No, they have to resolute.
I mean,
the end of 2. They have to.
I suppose. I really don't remember much of 2 at all.
Connolly. It's like, no, and they have to fix that.
Okay.
So that's one thing about Rebus.
I'll take your word for that then. Yeah. But also the fact that the very fact that The Walking Dead's coming back on February 14th, automatically I'm doing math in my head. So that's Valentine's Day.
Yes.
The show's going to be on, what's it on, at 9 o'clock at night?
Yep.
So that means that we got to make dinner reservations. We got to go out. We got to have dinner probably around 6 or so.
I'm eating in.
Got to
I'll make a zombie meal.
We got
I'll make something that looks like a head.
I'm going to come back, and then, I got to probably, take care of some business and make sure that that's all done before 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
But we're on a strict schedule here.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
Now, they also talked about the possibility of being a third show as well. You read that?
No, I hadn't read that. And the thing of it is that I liked Fear the Walking Dead. I finally finished watching it over the break.
Okay.
I actually got it for Christmas. I got it on Blu-ray because I had watched the first 3 episodes. The only way that they were available by the time I got around to watching them was on the AMC app. Yeah. When the only way I can watch that is on my phone, which is okay, but it's sort of, after a while it gets annoying and I don't feel like watching something on my phone, and I just let it go. So I had watched like the first 3 episodes and had never watched the other 3. Finally got caught up on that over the break, and it was okay. But I
think the next season
I feel like what happened to me was exactly what I expected to happen to me, which is I got to the point where we had moved past the very initial phases of the whole thing happening, and then I got to the point where it was like, well, now I'm just watching another group of people go through the same exact thing. Now I'm starting not to care because I really just wanted to see how they, how they represented and how they showed the first part of it when it first started all breaking out, and then past that point it was like, meh. Now I'm watching another group of people in the same scenario, and nah.
I'm just kind of interested in what they might do to bring the two together.
Right, and if there's another season, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it. I'm just saying that I can feel my attention span already starting to wane when we were getting to the point where it was like, oh, it's disastrous for everybody and everybody's screwed. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. This is exactly what was happening before. Speaking of death and all sorts of fun stuff like that, the whole reason that you should listen to Saturday Night Soundtrack if you don't already listen to us consistently.
We play dead people's music.
We play dead people's music, and not only that, but to a degree, we also predict the deaths of these people. I was going through some old programs, during the break, and trying to, come up with some bits and here and there, and listening to the old shows and the stuff we've done and covered and all that. And I go back, and we talked about this once before, near the end of last semester, as a matter of fact, where we had this conversation. And this conversation was one that took place regarding Scott Weiland, and we had this conversation, you and I, Steve, back in the beginning of April of 2015.
Are you just applauding because he's there? Are you applauding because he's not dead? Is that pretty much?
Pretty much.
Is that sort of where the expectations are? It's like, oh, you're good. At least you're
still breathing.
At least you're conscious and your eyes are open.
And what happened not more than, what was it, like 7-8 months later?
Exactly.
Dead.
Yep, dead.
On top of that, ironically...
Well done, sir.
Thank you. Ironically, within the same conversation, when we were looking back at the Scott Weiland thing and saying, holy crap, we predicted this dude's death, Jared made this statement in the second to last program of last year.
I think when Lemmy Kilmister, when he dies, that's going to be a big thing. I mean, it's not going to be like earth-shattering Elvis Presley type of thing, but it will be big because, he has a big presence in music, whether you realize it or not.
So there you go.
Oh, my.
Saturday Night Soundtrack.
That one.
We're a harbinger of death, apparently,
yes,
and we're going to predict the deaths of all the people that you love and care about. So
now you think about it. 2/3 of Motorhead died last year.
Yes.
Yep. 2/3.
Not good at all. Oh my God. No, we did. I don't think you brought any Motorhead with you tonight, did you?
No.
Okay. Jared probably will next week. We'll tribute Lemmy next week with Jared's Motorhead.
I saved everything I was going to do tonight for next week, knowing Jared wasn't going to be here. Yeah. So.
I see. So you save it all for Jared. I understand.
No, I have some interesting stuff for the three of us to share.
Okay.
Next week.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I actually have something that I want to share with the both of you as well. That's just a little insight into.
It won't be fluids, I hope.
Sir, why? No. No, it'll just be a little insight into what it's like to be friends with Jared.
Oh, good God.
So that'll be
okay.
That'll be fun. That's going to be next week. So you folks need to make sure to come back for next week when we're going to cover all this fun stuff. And,
is anybody out there?
Is anybody out? Hey, Lunatic Fringe, I know you're out there. Give us a call, 508-531-1303. Get another big classic rock block coming up. Kick it off with a double shot of Zeppelin next, BIM.
Hitting the bars or hitting the books. We'll make your night rock with Rob Hicks and Bridgewater's Saturday Night Soundtrack on 91.5 WBIM.
It's U2 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater SNS radio show. Rob Hicks, Steve Rimmer, and we have brought with us and been joined back by Mikey D for the first time in 2016. How are you?
That's right, I'm back, Ace. So what's cooking?
Oh,
How am I doing? I'm doing fine.
You're far away from the mic again, so nothing has really changed. Nothing has changed since last year, sir.
You're saying I'm loud?
That actually was better. Except you seem further back. I can't understand. Right. I don't understand how your projection works. You know what I mean? Like, you seem farther back, and yet now you seem louder. How is that possible?
Are you trying to insinuate that I'm got a big mouth?
I'm not insinuating anything.
You're just saying
I'm outright saying it.
How true, Hicks? How true?
So how have you been, Mike? How was your break?
My break was fine. I only had a couple of weeks off just at Christmas, and I came back like the 7th. And been on a tear ever since, and I was kind of quiet up in here until when I came back to work Tuesday. Because classes started the following day, and they came back this past weekend.
So you're pretty much like us, snow, sleet, whatever. You can't not be here on a Saturday.
No, you can't hold us down, Jack. You know that.
That's how it goes.
Whether it's shovel, spoon, snow blower, we'll dig our way through.
Let's back up here. If I had to use a spoon, I would probably not be here. I have,
you got a point there.
I have my limitations. So how do you guys feel going into tomorrow night? Or tomorrow afternoon, I should say.
This time,
no problem.
Tomorrow, hopefully we are celebrating.
Oh, we will be.
Earlier.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I mean, I just hope it's obviously I want the Pats to come out on top, but I also want it to be a fantastic game, which I'm sure it will be.
Oh, it will be.
It's never a blowout when it comes to Denver, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Imagine if they had the game here tomorrow. In Foxborough, after what we're dealing with outside right now.
Oh, I know.
Bring it on.
It'd be incredible. I mean, the Pats are cold weather players. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, look at Denver. They come up. They exactly spring-like weather there right now.
No, not at all. But it's better than what we got going on here right now.
I think so.
So, but yeah, I mean, obviously AFC Championship on the line, and it'll be good to see what comes of that, and hopefully, they're just going to keep doing what they've been doing. I mean, the Pats are a playoff team. That's what they do. Everybody gets all.
We get everybody back tomorrow, correct?
We have everyone back. We had. Edelman was back last week as well, right? When they played against.
Yeah, he was.
Who did they play against last week? Why am I not? Why am I drawing a blank?
Yeah,
Kansas City. Yes, thank you. He was. So we get everybody. Gronk's Gronk's back. He's been back for a while. Edelman's back.
Gostkowski's back. So
Gostkowski's back. Amendola's been back for a while too, right?
Yep.
Now, I think I read something either earlier today about Brady. He makes it to this Super Bowl. He'll be the first quarterback to get into like 7 Super Bowls. Even though they won only 4 of them so far.
Correct.
Right?
But just getting to it.
That's a feat.
That's absolutely
a feat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
But he has to cheat to do it, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, you listen to the mainstream media and all the other teams, of course.
I have a friend who, he lives around here.
You have a friend?
Yes, a couple of them. Just online. I mean, I don't hang out with these people.
Yeah, that's good.
If I did, I wouldn't be friends for long. So he lives around here, but he's a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. So I get the opportunity to be able to see. He's a fan of all those sites that do all the the memes that are against the Patriots.
Of course.
So I get the opportunity. It's interesting because it's just a little window into how like the rest of the country basically perceives the New England area and fans and team and whatnot.
But Rob, the thing is, it's Steve, right? Where's his team right now?
No, I get that. I get they didn't even make postseason, so I totally
man the snow shovels.
I totally get that. I'm just saying it's just an interesting glimpse into how other people feel when they talk about the Patriots.
But in the meantime, we just keep on winning.
We keep on trucking. That's what we do. We're going to be getting into a block of David Bowie that we got coming up.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, Steve and I both are wearing the same shirt apparently for the occasion. We're going to have Mikey D take a picture of that before he departs from us so that we can post that up there. Everybody can see how cute we are wearing the same shirt and everything.
Without knowing.
Yeah, without knowing. That's important to point out.
Please. And we are not married.
No, that's
to each other, at least.
Also important to point out. Steve and I have been, we were talking off the air, Mike, and Steve and I were talking on the air, obviously also earlier about all the classic rock legends that we've lost. Just over the break, it's almost like the 2016 and just the break itself has almost been like a bad luck sort of omen. I mean, it started with Lemmy, and then that was the very end of December. David Bowie obviously passed away about a week or two later, and then you had Glenn Frey within this past week. An interesting thing, and I don't think anybody has really touched on this, and this is just my opinion and my observation as far as what I've seen regarding the news for Lemmy. So you got, David Bowie. You found out that we found out he passed away from cancer, and we found out that he had known about the cancer for 18 months or so, and hadn't really told anybody. I mean, that's his business or whatever. And he was just pressing on and doing what he does. Lemmy, the story that I read said that he found out, like, he got diagnosed
and then 5 days
with
later.
an aggressive form of cancer, and then died 5 days later. Does anybody else read into that he just basically?
I think Jared has it.
Took it.
Yeah.
Like, he basically just took it upon himself to say,
I think,
F this, I'm out.
That's what Jared said, and I think I agree with him.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that they need to come out and say that, because I mean, it's nobody's business, frankly. And, and I look at it two ways, right? I basically look at it as far as, I think that's what happened, because there's no way somebody goes in and gets diagnosed and then dies. I mean, you had to have been wheeled in on your deathbed to be diagnosed that way and then end up dying 5 days later. So, I mean, I think you can read between the lines as far as what happened there, but I also think that it's one of those situations where I can see and have respect for both sides.
Oh, yeah.
So, Bowie on the one hand, it's like, well, I have nothing but a tremendous amount of respect for the man. I mean, you're staring your death right in the face, and you're like, F you, I'm just going to keep recording, I'm going to keep making great records, and I'm going to keep doing what I do. It's nobody's business, and I'm going to keep it to myself, and I'm just going to keep doing this, and that's going to be it. Just fight it as much as I can.
Got his music out there,
right? Fight it as much as I can, and then when I can't anymore, well, then that's the end of the story. And then on the other side of it, you got Lemmy, who basically says to himself, "Hey, look, I'm not going to put my family through this, and I'm not going to put the people who could potentially need to care for me down the road through this. If that's inevitable and that's just what's going to happen, then he had the courage to kind of take it upon himself as well. And it's almost like I don't look down on either decision. I see value in both decisions, and I can respect both decisions.
Rock on,
You know what I mean?
Keep on going till they can't go no more.
It has to do with however whichever one of them, whichever one of them looks at it, whichever way. But I don't think either way was necessarily a bad way out. I think each way was good for the people that they were.
They were both doing it right up until they couldn't vocalize no more.
Yeah, and I mean there were great reasons for doing it either way. And again, I've never been through any. I mean, obviously, all of us have relatives that have been through these things. I've obviously never been through it, but I mean, you don't know until you're in that situation how you're going to handle it, how you're going to face it. And I have respect for anyone who even has to go through the diagnosis process. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the scariest thing in the world to me.
The scary thing for me is how do you know you need to get diagnosed for cancer?
I mean, I get
yearly checkups, maybe.
Yearly checkups, and I feel like all the people that I know who have had these things found out have had them found out almost by accident. They're having side symptoms, and they think
do you get pains somewhere?
Right. I mean, they think it's something else, and then all of a sudden they go, and it's like, holy Christ, it's the real deal. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's like Mike said, yearly checkups could be one way of finding out.
Blood work, anything, just to find out. You may feel good, but it always doesn't hurt to find out because you find out in its early stages.
Correct.
Okay. You can tackle it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
if it's too far advanced when you find out, you should have got checked up earlier.
Right. Who
knows?
I think anybody who as long as you're going for your yearly physicals and all that kind of thing. I mean, I go relatively frequently for physicals and checkups because I have a thyroid condition. So they're constantly taking blood also to check for that. Mm-hmm. If anything were to come up, God forbid, they're going to find it in the blood work that they're doing on me. So they're always going to be, there's always an opportunity to kind of find that stuff out. If you're the type of person who doesn't go to the doctor for 5 years, and you're not having tests and everything, well, by the time you're having pains, I'm pretty sure it's going to probably be too late.
It could be very easily.
Yeah, I didn't go to the doctors for like 20 years.
Yeah, I mean,
but I went 3 times this past year. So.
Well, I was just about to say, go to the damn doctor, sir.
No, I've had three checkups this 1 year.
Doctors, look at me. Look at this physical specimen.
Oh, go to the doctor, sir.
We have somebody else calling.
Right. What do we have?
Hi, I want to make another request.
Are you,
Steve?
Mikey D's pointing his feet, actually wagging his finger at me. It's a little bit intimidating. But how are you, Steve?
Oh, pretty good.
Oh, good.
Stevie G, can you hear me, brother?
Stevie G is on making a request.
All right, we got you live on the airwaves right now, brother. You're coming through on the radio. What do you want to hear, brother?
What do you want to hear, Steve?
Let's see. A great old song by Ozzy Osbourne, War Pigs.
Yeah, we can play that.
I don't see why not.
We'll get that on.
A classic, Steve.
I think War Pigs is like the most requested song here on Saturday Night Soundtrack since I've been doing this program. I think that's the one that I've gotten the most requests for.
Wow, that's good.
So add yourself to the pile, and we'll get that on in the next block.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Steve. You have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Great seeing you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Steve. Take care. So, yeah, we're going to get into, so we got a block of David Bowie coming up. We're going to get into that now so that we can get on with Steve's request and everything else anybody wants to hear. 508-531-1303, by the way, is the number to call if you want to get anything on. And we're doing Classic Rock until 11 o'clock, so we got plenty of time to get it on for you. We're going to do a classic studio cut, and then Steve brought in a live album of
By
Bowie.
the way,
yeah,
Bowie plays guitar on the first track.
On the first one we got coming up. Mm-hmm. So you get to hear him play guitar on that. You're going to get to hear him live, if I can speak, on the record that Steve brought in.
The live track obviously is a duo. It's a double.
Yeah, we wanted to do the live track because it's actually it's David Bowie doing All the Young Dudes. And this was live in, what was the venue here?
Philadelphia.
This was live in Philadelphia. What was the year on this?
Oh, it's back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's not even telling me. So
no.
I'll
Google it.
We'll
I'll let you know afterwards.
Google helps all.
Yes.
So we're going to hear David Bowie at the Tower of Philadelphia doing a live version of All the Young Dudes, obviously as a tribute to Geffen, who just passed away.
Yeah, the drummer for Mott the Hoople.
And just everybody stop dying. You know what I mean? We're going to cap off the block also with a track from Bowie's new album, Black Star. So we're going to play that as the third track there.
Yep. And the track, by the way, is from his musical, which is an off-Broadway show right now, but will probably hit Broadway because of his death. Of course.
It was off Broadway until early January. Now it's almost guaranteed to be on Broadway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll get into that. Thank you very much, Mikey D, for stopping up.
My pleasure.
And bringing Steve to us to make another request.
Of course.
All we can do, you know.
And our typical New England weather this time of year. Hey, you gotta love it.
Oh, yeah. Holy God!
I love it.
No, you don't. I don't love it at all.
Just bring on May, June, and July.
Whatever. Just bring on no snow is fine by me. I don't care. Classic Rock till 11 o'clock. Again, 508-531-1303. Bowie Block next, BIM.
Saturday nights with Robb Hicks. He's like Wolfman Jack. Without the beard, money, or timeless popularity.
Coincidence? I think not.
Bridgewater's Saturday night soundtrack on 91.5 WBIM.
It's War Pigs 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater. Saturday night soundtrack off the Black Sabbath Paranoid album, of course. Before that, heard a block of David Bowie, just to commemorate the man, obviously. It was a yesterday and today block somewhat. Heard Gene Genie, All the Young Dudes, live performance of that one, which was also a double tribute for the Mott the Hoople drummer that just passed away. And then heard the today part was Lazarus. That came off his new album Black Star, which obviously just came out a couple of weeks ago, just a few days before he passed. Robb Hicks, Steve Rimmer.
Hello.
It's already 9:10, which is ridiculous to me.
It's ridiculous. It's like I looked at the clock and thought, what, we only have 2 hours left?
Nobody who doesn't do this gets it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I try to explain this to people, and they're like, you've got 4 hours. I don't really understand what the problem is. Most shows here at WBIM are 2 hours. I don't really understand your complaint.
There's a rhythm that we used to get into.
Absolutely.
With 6,
Absolutely.
And 4 seems rushed.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. So 508-531-1303. Give us a call. We're doing Classic Rock until 11 o'clock, so we can still get some songs on for you, obviously. And you can like us on Facebook, Saturday Night Soundtrack. You can follow us on Twitter, at SN Soundtrack. We're sort of Twitter, quasi-celebrities, if you will, because we corresponded with David Crosby over the break.
Yes.
Just asked him and you could tell that, if anybody ever wonders where the tweets are coming from, it's if it's Jared or if it's Steve or if it's me, the question that was put to David Crosby was about Van Morrison, so it was about, it was coming from me. There's not really a question about that, but he answered back, and it was pretty cool. David Bowie's one of the, he's a cranky, grumpy old guy who,
David Crosby.
David Crosby, yeah. What did I say?
David Bowie.
Oh no, he's not cranky at all.
No, he's dead.
David Crosby is he's a grumpy old guy, but he'll still go on a tear and answer a whole bunch of questions from people.
Yeah, and he likes to give his sperm away.
Right, if he's not busy whacking off making babies and hitting people with his car and whatnot, he has time to sit down on Twitter and he'll just answer 50, 60 questions in a row, and we just happen to luck out and be one of them. But it was still a cool experience. And also want to point out the fact that Steve actually brought this next bit to my attention. I hadn't seen this at all, and yet I think after you showed me this, somebody else posted it as well. This woman's name is Michelle Devine. I think that's how you pronounce it. And she was a witness to a fire.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know where. I don't remember where this was.
It was on Channel 7 News,
but I don't remember where in the country it was.
Oh, was it in Massachusetts?
Oh, it was in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Oh,
it
that's
was like Milford or somewhere.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Didn't realize that. I just thought it was somewhere in the country, and I was like, well, that's good enough for me.
No, it was local.
Here's the interview. You may remember, and part of, many of you probably don't. That's totally fine. But we did a segment last semester where we played a interview from a gentleman who was cooking some ribs.
Yes.
And happened to notice a fire that was going on next door. And this Michelle Devine woman, she happened to, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, I don't know.
Give it up.
I'm doing my best here. She witnessed a fire across the street, and she talked to somebody who had witnessed the fire across the street, and, this is what she had to say about it.
My friend came to the door. She said, I was on the phone cooking me and my baby some breakfast. And she said,
can I interrupt here right away?
Yeah.
Why is everybody always cooking when there's a fire going on?
I don't know.
It's like a common theme.
It is.
I was cooking some ribs, man. Had the ribs going, ribs just right. Everybody's always cooking.
My baby some breakfast.
Always hungry.
Hey, something wrong. It's popping. I said, what? She said, yeah. I said, no. So the girl come downstairs. She come out her apartment with her baby with no shoes on. I said, oh, girl, it's cold outside. She said, something ain't right. I said, oh, man. She said, oh, man, the building is on fire. said, no, what? I got my 3 kids and we bounced out. We ain't gonna be in no fire. Not today.
So you know it's only a matter of time before somebody picks up this interview and decides, hey, you know what this interview needs is some music.
Yes.
Now, let me interject here and say that I spend a lot of time doing things for this program. This probably took more time than the types of things that I even tend to do.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of work that went into this just to put Michelle Devine to music here. Oh, jeez.
You know, I hadn't heard this. I was waiting to hear it.
Oh, you hadn't heard the music?
Nope.
But you had heard the interview, though, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
This is excellent.
It's like perfectly timed.
It's beautiful.
The rhythm is impeccable.
Yep.
While this is not the type of music that we would typically play on the Saturday night soundtrack, I have to commend the amount of effort that went into mixing this thing.
It's hilarious.
Not today. Oh, that's fantastic.
That is really well done.
That is great. So, what we're going to try to... What the hell?
I don't know. Mikey D didn't know either. He said that all of them all over the building are doing
So here's what's fantastic about, if anybody wants to know how, luxurious and glamorous the college radio experience is, we're sitting in here and we're hearing all this clanging, banging sounds going on. Mikey D comes in. Mikey D, if anybody is not aware, is a maintenance man.
If this building
here in the campus center, we inform the gentleman of the fact that, hey, the radiator is making a whole lot of noise and it's clanging and all sorts of things. And the response we get from Mikey D is, and I quote, "Oh yeah, they do that. They've been doing that for years."
That was it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any chance that could be fixed? I said it does that for years.
Yes.
Okay, Mike. So much for that.
There we go.
If that thing catches on fire, I'm going to bounce out.
I'm saving this water bottle just in case.
We ain't going to be in no fire. Not today.
No, not today.
Oh, jeez. Hilarious. 508-531-1303. Let's get into some more classic rock, and then we'll come back on and talk about some other meaningless junk. How's that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
Other thing, too, that I just wanted to mention really quick is that for those of you who are maybe new to the program and not used to what we do here, and you're thinking to yourselves, oh, geez, I want to hear these guys next week again. We are going to be on from 7 to 11 again next week, obviously, but we're going to have a third guy with us, and he's a guy that's with us all the time.
He's called the Jared.
He's called the Jared, and the one thing that you need to make sure that you don't get used to is the fact that throughout this entire evening, you've been able to hear me finish full thoughts and sentences.
What was that?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You might not be able to hear that next week and the weeks following.
No.
You might hear me interrupted a lot, and then you might hear me getting pissed off. We'll see how it goes.
Now, you said the P word.
Maybe the P word's fine.
Oh,
you can say the P word.
Pissed?
Oh, you can say pissed.
Oh, fuck. That's great.
Oh, 2016 is off with a bang. With that, we got the Stones on deck.
Yes.
SNS BIM. Whether you're spending a night in town or just a night in, we've got you covered. It's All Request Classic Rock on Bridgewater's Saturday night soundtrack with Robb Hicks at 91.5 WBIM.
CLO 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater SNS radio show. That one came off their Face of Music album. Before that, we heard from Allman Brothers, Rolling Stones. Rob Hicks, Steve Rimmer. It's already 9:36 somehow.
It's going so fast.
Don't know how that happened. My wife just sent me a text, which was not very encouraging, that said that she doesn't think they've plowed our street.
Oh, nice.
I sent back.
Now, don't you live on a hill?
Well, I live on the I actually live on the downslope of it, so it's actually not that terrible.
Okay.
But they still should just plow our street.
Yeah.
The problem is that we live on a street that's it's a cul-de-sac street, but it's off the main road, like it's off the main 3A. And you would think that they'd pay a little bit more attention to it, but they probably, and the trick to it is that the Italian restaurant that's at the end of our street just had a fire a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago or so, and that's been down for the count for a while. I think they probably would have paid a little bit more attention at plowing the street for those patrons. Now that nobody's there, or they're in the process of rebuilding or doing whatever they need to do. And I think they probably just decided, well, F this. We don't need to plow the street that much, because what do you got? Dunkin' Donuts? Dunkin' Donuts has their own parking lot. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably sort of losing out on the deal. On the upside, it's been a hell of a lot easier to drive up my street the past couple of weeks without the valet
dealing with them. Yeah.
Parking morons coming out. And everybody who goes to that restaurant, I think they all come out drunk. Like, they come out, they have absolutely no idea what direction they're friggin' going in. And they don't look. They're looking backwards, and they're pulling out in the street. They think it's like a one-way. They're driving down the middle of the street. And it's like, hello, people live on the street. I need to get down there. You're driving like a jackass. So just go home.
Yeah.
But go the other way, because I need to get to my freaking house.
Exactly.
So 508-531-1303 if you want to hear grumpy old men complain. You've tuned into the right program.
Yes,
and we're going to be doing this every week from 7 to 11 during the semester. And
usually 3 grumpy old men.
Absolutely, usually 3. We're going to add another grumpy old man back next week, and everything will be fine. So you and I were talking about this a little bit off the air, where we had mentioned the fact that you were aware of this, and I had uncannily picked the clips from it because I wanted to play it on the program, just showing David Bowie's lighter side. These recordings came to light. This was from a recording session that he did, I believe I had said in August of 1985, so the tapes themselves here are 30 years old. But it was David Bowie doing impressions of other classic rock legend icon type performers at that time. He did a whole bunch. I've handpicked like 4 of them here, which were my favorite ones. And these are so we're just going to play them through and just introduce which one is which. And while it doesn't really sound like the people themselves, it's basically just because he was being a goof, and he was goofing on them, and pretty much it's just exactly what it sounds like. So the first one that he did was Bruce Springsteen.
On the Rio Grande, foot to the board.
That's excellent,
isn't it?
With a horse of the South track tailing behind.
That's great.
When the fires broke out on the Rio Grande, left nothing standing but the smell of the land.
I just hope my friend from Jersey's listening to this. Get a kick out of this one.
Left nothing at all but the sound of a rock and roll band.
I think that's a pretty good impression.
Pretty good, yeah. He did. So the next one that he did was not necessarily the next one in the recording, but the next one that I picked up was he did Iggy Pop,
which he should know well.
Yeah, absolutely, and he does it. And I like now this one has a little introduction, and you can hear him like planning how he's going to do the voice right before he does it, which is hysterical. And I'll just point out too, he basically does the same song for every one of these guys.
Yeah,
he just does the same song in different voices. Yeah.
Oh dear, Lou Reed. Okay, Iggy then. Iggy. Joe the board. Yeah, okay.
When the fire broke out on the old ground, my foot to the board and she laid up the sand with a horse.
Nice. Oh my God.
Father and so please. When the fire broke out on the Rio Grande, left nothing standing with the smell of the land. Her hubcaps burst through the scent of your hand. Nothing left alone but the sound of a rock and roll band.
Excellent.
Difficulty somewhere between all of them.
What's that?
I could never, couldn't even get near to him.
He said the difficulty is somewhere in between both of them, so he's trying to figure out. I think originally he was going to try to do Lou. I think he ultimately did Lou Reed at some point. Yeah. I think he was trying to determine which one was going to be more difficult, that or Iggy Pop.
He produced Lou Reed. He did
absolutely.
He did the album that the famous track came from. So. Walk on the Wild Side. In case everybody thinks that maybe his Springsteen and his Iggy Pop sounded a little bit similar, so then he breaks completely from sort of the her to doing one that's a little bit more high pitched. So here's him doing Neil Young.
I could never, couldn't even get near to him.
He keeps his Cockney accent all the way through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
He also points out how closely he followed music as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
And of course, also the obviously these are all the artists that we play here on the program and everything. But at the time that he was doing this in '85, I mean, all these guys, these were all his contemporaries, and in some cases, they had been contemporary peers for like 10, 15 years at that point. Neil Young had been around just as long, and David Bowie had been around, and David Bowie had been around probably longer than Neil Young. As a matter of fact, I mean, he was doing his debut stuff. The David Bowie album, or the Space Oddity album, came out in '69.
I got the David Bowie 1966 single right in my hand.
Yep, and the original, his original album, the first one he ever put out was '67 or so, 66, 67. He really took off with an album called David Bowie, which eventually became called Space Oddity, and that came out in '69, and Neil Young was doing his stuff back in...
you know what the sub-label was that? It was Man of Words, Man of Music.
Oh, was it really?
Yep.
And Neil Young was doing Sugar Mountain and stuff like that back in '68. He was just starting to break in, so they basically had gotten started around the same time. I've saved the best for last. This last one is my favorite. This is him doing Bob Dylan.
I'm going to give you somebody else now, just because I feel like it. keep that last one. When the fires broke out and leave the ground, put my foot to the board and see it as a stand with the hearts in the side.
Oh God, that's funny.
The fire that disappears. When the fire broke out on the field.
I hate to say it though, he's an easy one.
Oh yeah.
And the hubcaps that burns the skies of your hair. The sound of a rock and roll band.
I like how at the end he sounds like a goat for no particular reason.
He almost sounds like Mark Bolan at the end there.
Oh, it was fantastic. There's a whole bunch of them. I just picked the four that I thought was the funniest. I think if you do a search on YouTube for David Bowie impressions, or I follow Ultimate Classic Rock on Facebook. If you go and check out Ultimate Classic Rock either on Facebook, or I think their website is just ultimateclassicrock.com. They get the link up there too somewhere within the past week or so. You sort through their feed, you can find it. Go out there and look for the original, the video that's out there. And what it is they put together. It was a nice video, and it was just the audio there, of course, and then just a good, pictures of Bowie here and there. Yeah. With a nice, just final picture at the end that just says, rest in peace and so forth. And it was good, but it was just funny that it just showed his funny side, and like you said, they were good impressions, and then at the same time I could hear the accent through the whole thing.
Exactly.
So it's not going to sound 100% like them, but the fact that he was just kind of goofing on all those guys all at one time was just priceless.
Yeah, somebody, I actually got a bootleg this week that somebody gave me. It was from 2002 show at the Beacon Theatre in New York.
Okay,
And even then, I mean, when he's introducing songs, it's like his Cockney accent comes through all the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was part of it. That's what made him him, you know? So,
exactly.
508-531-1303. Going to get into another classic rock block now, and then we'll come back a little bit after 10 o'clock or so. 10 o'clock.
Oh, my God.
And
for the last hour.
Talk about some other junk then, so. Give us a call in the meantime, 508-531-1303. Kick off the next block, which really isn't going to be that many songs, because we got a monster track from Pink Floyd up next, BIM.
So, you just spent hours putting together the perfect classic rock playlist?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's so cute. This Saturday night soundtrack with Robb Hicks on 91.5 WBIM.
On 91.5 WBIM Bridgewater, Saturday night soundtrack. It's 10:17, which is not normally the time you'd be hearing this music, but we've been told to get the hell out. No, I'm just
leave now.
Weren't told that in so many words.
She was very nice.
It was implied. She was extremely nice. As a matter of fact, she wasn't just nice. She was sort of just kind of freaked out by the whole situation. So apparently, and after I had the conversation with her, I went back and started thinking about this. Let's put the pieces together here. Mm-hmm. So, nice young lady from the campus center who just works downstairs and is in charge of closing up the building this evening, came up to inform us shortly after 10 o'clock that, she asked how long we were planning on staying, and of course we were planning on staying until 11 like we always do. But then she mentioned that all the maintenance people had left, and she was the only person left to close down the entire building and had never done it on her own.
Yeah, that's kind of nasty.
It's kind of nasty, and let's stop and think about who the maintenance people are around here. Let's try and think.
Exactly.
Let me rack my brain and see if I can...
An MD in there.
Right, let me see if I can consider it and think if I know any particular person who happens to be a Oh, wait, you know what? I actually do. Mm-hmm. His name is Mikey D, and I'll be taking this up with him next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So apparently, all the maintenance workers just decided, F this, and they took off. And she's the only one left closing up the building, and she just wants to get home because apparently, the roads are not getting any better out there.
She doesn't live on campus either.
She doesn't live on campus, so the roads aren't getting any better out there, and she just wants to get home, which is totally understandable. So
Absolutely.
We made the allowance, and we're going to be getting out of here, closing out the show by 10:30. So, but we're going to be back next week. We're going to be doing 7 to 11. God willing, there's not going to be any snow or any ridiculousness.
We did a good 3.5 hours today. Oof.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
It was a good 3.5 hours, and 3.5 hours goes by pretty damn quick.
Too quick.
Yeah, extremely. I have time for one more rant, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So here's something that I think we're going to be getting into. We're going to do this everywhere. I'm going to try to do this every show. I think we got enough material to work on to be able to do this. So we want to come up with it, and I think I'm going to call it Death Wish until I come up with a better name for this segment. Basically, the whole idea. We've obviously seen a whole lot of artists, celebrities that have been taken before, in our minds, taken before their time, like, David Bowie and Lemmy and Glenn Frey. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to play any Glenn Frey tonight.
No.
But you know what? He's been played all freaking over the place.
Of course he has.
So much more than David Bowie has, and we played a block of Bowie. I'm fine with my decision.
No, me too.
So moving on is so we thought to ourselves, with all this death and destruction that's been going on just in 2016, how about we start thinking about celebrities that we might want to see dead?
Yes.
They might just, their time on Earth is just they've just done enough, and it's time for them to go.
Tom Petty.
Now, relax, sir. I'm talking about, not just because he mildly annoys you. Phil Collins is not going to make the list either just because he mildly annoys you and is coming out of retirement, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's not, we talked about it last semester, and I'm sure that's going to place him on your list, too.
Yeah.
I think the rule for this game is pretty much, we'll come up with some people. Maybe one of us will just come up with someone, or maybe a couple of us have somebody for each week. And it's not going to be, we're not going to do real.
It should be who we think and who will be.
Correct. And we're not going to do real people. So in other words, I'm not going to say, hey, I want so and so down the hall to be dead. No, we're going to stick with celebrities so that we can not alienate as many people as humanly possible.
The two obvious who should be.
Correct. I thought over
Keith and Ozzy, but
yeah. Did you see the? Oh,
yes, I did.
The picture of Ozzy where it was like, "Hey, I'm still here. I don't know how."
I like the one with Keith Richards though. Keith Richards was found alive in a hotel this week.
He was found not dead. Yep. I saw a related article that was basically like Keith Richards' housekeeper has been bracing herself to find a body every day since 1976. Which is probably not very far from truth.
Absolutely.
So anyway, in considering, and I'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes, but because I'm not as rabid about this week's subject as I probably will be going forward about some other subjects.
We'll go for it next week.
But to do a real quick one here, the person that I think should be dead, and this one actually,
we never mentioned the other British guy, the actor who died.
I'm drawing a blank here.
From Harry Potter, from Die Hard.
Oh, Alan Rickman.
Yes.
Alan Rickman died.
Same age.
And that was unfortunate. He was 69. And my favorite part of his was always Hans Gruber from Die Hard, of course.
Definitely.
I was never much of a Harry Potter person. I tried watching a couple of the movies, and I just didn't get into it.
No.
But anyway, I love Alan Rickman, if only because of the fact that he was in Die Hard. So once again,
agreed.
What the F? Why is he dead?
I know.
Rest in peace, Alan Rickman.
What were you going to say?
Anyway, so I was wrestling with the fact that I was going to choose this person as a person who should be dead because I actually have liked some of the stuff that he's done in his career, but he's gotten to the point now where he just needs to stop and shut up and die.
Ooh, can't wait.
And then the person I've chosen is Sean Penn.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Sean Penn just did that ridiculous, self-aggrandizing garbage article in Rolling Stone where he interviewed El Chapo in the middle of a jungle or some kind of crap. And the whole point is that the whole thing was just ridiculous. And not only had it just been that article, I mean, that would have been bad enough. But then he went on. Did you see how he went on 60 Minutes within about a week or so after that? And it just
I liked him
went on
that punching journalists.
Yeah, absolutely. He went on that. He did a mea culpa and was basically like, by my attempts at getting the country to have a discussion about drugs has totally failed, and the Mexican government set me up, and all of this paranoid garbage, and this is exactly what he wanted because everybody's talking about him.
Did you know Al Capo had surgery when he was on the lam for erectile dysfunction?
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
He probably needed it before the Sean Penn interview because I have a feeling that there was a little bit of, I'm not saying anything, but, and I mean, just the article itself was poorly written.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous from a journalistic standpoint. Have you read any part of the article? There's a part where, for whatever reason, Sean Penn feels a need to mention his penis in the middle of the article where he's talking about how he goes off to take a leak in the middle of the jungle and then says something about, I take one long last fond look before I tuck it back in my pants. Shut up. What the hell are you doing? You're not a journalist. You're an actor, and you haven't done a good movie in years. Mystic River was probably the best thing that you did, and that was 12 years ago now.
Was it 12? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So how about you just make movies and shut up?
Exactly.
And just your article, and the fact that he comes out then after that and tries to say this wasn't what I wanted to happen. This is exactly what you wanted to happen. Yeah. Everybody's talking about you. You're as big a story as
faces on everything.
Is it El Chapo or El Capo?
Capo.
Oh, whoops. Whatever. I don't care.
Which to me is funny anyway because
right.
Capo.
Correct.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's exactly what he wanted to happen, and that Sean Penn should just be dead. I'm sorry, I used to like him. I used to like some of the stuff he did. Like you said, Punching Journalists was amusing.
It was.
Now he just needs to go away. Mm-hmm. It just needs to end.
Yep.
Do you have?
You know what? I didn't even come up with one because I was kind of trying to save it for when Jared's here.
It's totally fine. This is a warm up.
Exactly.
This isn't even my best rant.
No.
But this is just a warm up to a rant because oh boy.
Yeah. No, I'll have a couple by next week.
Believe me, when I was thinking up some of the folks who could probably make the list, there were others that registered as far more passionate.
Justin Bieber.
I mainly picked Sean Penn just because he disappoints me so much now.
Yeah.
I love to, I think back and it's like, I love Jeff Spicoli. I sometimes wish he was still Jeff Spicoli, because Jeff Spicoli didn't hurt anyone, and he wasn't offensive, and he wasn't self-aggrandizing, and he just was what he was, and he just I recognize that he's a character in a movie, but I liked that image of Sean Penn, and now that he's all serious and taking himself all serious, just shut up, interviewing people in the jungle,
exactly.
Penis out and everything, it's ridiculous. So we're going to be back next week.
Ridiculous.
Richard. We'll be back with Jared next week and more classic rock next week too. Every week 7 to 11 Saturday Night Soundtrack on WBIM. We'll close it out with Stevie Ray Vaughan. See you next week. Bye.
The building is on fire.